The modernization of China was started by Sun Yat-sen. Early in his life, he spent some time in Hawaii and then in Hong Kong and saw what life could be like. He studied to become a medical doctor, but quit to devote his time to transforming China. Working with others, he developed a political philosophy based on three principles: nationalism, the Chinese ownership of China, democracy, a political republic, and welfare, with the distribution of land equally among all people. In 1911, a revolution occurred which overthrew the Chinese emperor and ended the Qing dynasty. Sun Yat-sen was appointed provisional president of the new republic, but he stepped down to allow Yuan Shikai, an army commander, to take his place. Yuan died in 1916, leading to another period of political chaos. Sun Yat-sen died in 1925. Honoured as the father of modern China, a great mausoleum was constructed in a beautiful natural location on the Purple Mountain outside Nanjing. On the marble gateway to the mausoleum is inscribed the motto of Sun Yat-sen: "What is under heaven is for all." The mausoleum continues to be visited by many Chinese, even in the rain. Sun Yat-sen's leadership of the Nationalist Party, the Kuomintang, was assumed by Chiang Kai-shek, who ruled China from his base in Nanjing. In 1932, Japan attacked Shanghai and then moved to Nanjing. With insufficient firepower, Chiang Kai-shek withdrew, leaving Nanjing almost without defence. In 1937, hundreds of thousands of residents of Nanjing were brutally murdered. Museums in Nanjing describe the details. The Communist Party was founded around 1920 in Shanghai, somewhere near here, and had great support from the mass of ordinary people because of its ideals of sharing the wealth of the nation and redistributing the land. As the Japanese withdrew after their defeat, civil war broke out between the Kuomintang, led by Chiang Kai-shek, and the Communists, led by Mao Zedong. In 1948, one of the major battles occurred in Jinan, and is remembered by the Liberation Pavilion, built at the site at which the Communists first breached the city wall. By the end of 1949, Chiang Kai-shek had fled to Taiwan, followed by 2 million of his supporters, and the Communists were in control of mainland China. The Communists began their radical reforms, empowering the peasants and taking power from the landlords, intellectuals, and foreigners. Most peasants were given their own plot of land and were encouraged to form cooperatives to work the land together. However, there were great problems in production, leading to widespread famine. Millions died of starvation in the 1950s. In 1966, Mao called for a great revolution to create a proletariat culture. The Cultural Revolution had widespread support and became violent, destroying anything intellectual or traditional. This included, for example, the tomb of Confucius, which has now been pieced together again. Artwork in temples was covered over by whitewash with pro-Mao slogans so that it would not be touched. The whitewash could be removed afterwards. In 1976, Mao died. He was buried in a mausoleum in Tiananmen Square, just outside the Forbidden Palace. Chinese people still queue for hours to pass by his tomb. However, some people recognize the terrible period he presided over. In 1978, Deng Xiaoping became leader and instituted a program of modernization, of agriculture, industry, science and technology, and national defence. And much of what we saw in China today was a result of that program. As we travelled through China, we were amazed at the number of high-rise units, often rows upon rows of them, stretching 50 stories or more into the sky. Building has taken place on a huge scale, and people have homes. Unlike the old hutongs, these homes have their own bathrooms. One of the guides said that some people prefer the sense of community in the old hutongs built around courtyards, but the new apartments do ensure that people have their own space and modern conveniences. The cities are immense. Beijing has more than 20 million people, and we seem to be travelling forever on fast freeways to reach the edge of the city. Modern commercial centre dominates the heart, with Western-style shopping centres and pleasant malls, complete with water fountains. Shanghai is even larger, with 24 million residents. High-rise buildings stretch into the distance in every direction. Chongqing is located on the Yangtze River and has a population of more than 30 million. We were told when we boarded the boat for our Yangtze cruise in the evening that we would travel all night and would still be in Chongqing when we woke up in the morning. We also visited some smaller cities. Xi'an has just 12 million residents, and Jinan just 5 million. But they're all large compared with the largest of the Australian cities. Linking these huge cities are enormous freeways. They crisscross the country, joining every part of it. We've heard of traffic jams that last for days, but we didn't experience that. The traffic was slow in some parts, but not for long. In general, the freeways allow people to travel efficiently from one part of China to another. Even better are the trains. We took 9 train journeys across the country. All were in bullet trains, mostly travelling at 250 kilometres per hour or faster. The longest trip was 1,930 kilometres from Shanghai to Hong Kong. The train left Shanghai at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and arrived about 10 o'clock that evening. It stopped at about 5 stations and arrived within a few minutes of the scheduled time. The average speed, including those stops, was 240 kilometres per hour. Enormous stations have been built to serve the trains. Many of these have 30 or more platforms, each of which can take 2 trains at any one time. There is room for more than 10,000 people to wait in some of the waiting rooms. Few people were waiting for trains in this new station in Jinan, but the station in Shanghai was very busy. Once inside, the seats are comfortable. There's plenty of room and the facilities are good. The result of the train service is that the Chinese themselves are travelling to every part of their country. We were told in Hangzhou, for example, that the city had 74 million visitors the previous year, and 71 million of them were domestic travellers from other parts of China. The hotels in which we stayed were all very comfortable. We had read that facilities often do not work well, but that was not our experience. We were very well served. We did not see very much of industrial China. In many places the polluting industries have been moved some distance from the population centres. Pollution was not as bad as we had anticipated, but was still evident in parts of China. China is making steps to create clean energy. Three Gorges Dam on the Yangtze River opened in 2009. It's one of the world's largest dams, holding back water 35 kilometres on the Yangtze. Huge areas were flooded, causing more than 1 million people to move. However, it's created some beautiful inlets through the gorges and has minimised the effects of major flooding downstream of the dam. The Three Gorges Dam is the world's largest hydroelectric power source and reduces coal consumption by 31 million tonnes per year. Today, the dam is also a major tourist attraction, with tens of thousands visiting the site. They can watch huge ships pass the dam through the enormous locks. The dam supports life in many cities, including Shanghai, the financial and commercial capital of China. The new Chinese financial centre sits on the opposite side of the Huangpu River to the Bund, the financial and trading centre of the European nations. The new financial buildings tower high above anything on the Bund, an illustration of the new economic power of China. We were taken to the top of the world's second highest tower, Shanghai Tower, 632 metres high. The lift which took us to the top is said to be the fastest lift in the world. That tower dominates the other large financial skyscrapers. But one can also see the extent of Chinese development in Shanghai as the high-rise buildings stretch to the horizon. China's special brand of communism combined with capitalism has produced huge benefits for the nation. It has raised millions of Chinese out of poverty and starvation and has made China into a superpower in just 40 years. There are restrictions in China. In some things there's little choice. It was evident at times that we were shown what China wanted to present to the world. But while the benefits continue to be enjoyed, most Chinese are happy to live within those restrictions.